There's a lot to be said about Donkey Kong Bonanza, but the first thing I've wanted to say about it since the moment it was announced is that I really hate the fucking name. I'm a person who enjoys wordplay, as you know. I get a kick out of doing things like scribe sequences of sentences and saying steadfastly starting with strings of similar sibilants, but banana merged with bonanza as a pun, it just doesn't work for me. Bonanza. Bonanza. Maybe it should work better in an American accent. Bonanza. Oh god, I'm never doing that again. I sicked up in my mouth. The addition of the extended consonant zzz practically adds an extra syllable to the word banana. I have to rearrange all my mouth parts to transition from the and to the za. It gets stuck in my front teeth like a Werther's original. I know I'm out on a limb here because I brought this up to the rest of Second Wind on one of our creative meetings and they all think Bonanza's a great title and I'm off my fucking trolley. But that's okay, there's plenty of other puns in video games I want to express my annoyance about. Now, as I've often said, the bigger problem when it comes to video game titles is them being arse-achingly generic. All shit like Fall of Lords, The Revenge-ickening or whatever, possibly as a consequence of the design committee being allergic to not taking their very important IP as seriously as possible. But there are more than a few examples of games taking the exact opposite approach, trying to have a bit of fun with their title and falling completely flat, like a birthday clown who trips on the garden gate and sustains a traumatic compound fracture. If you'll indulge me, I've compiled a small list of my least favourite puns in video gaming history. Grabbed by the Ghoulies was a 2003 game by Rare for the original Xbox in which you play a kid who has to rescue their girlfriend from a haunted mansion, a rather insipid little family-friendly action-adventure of its time, whose only noteworthy feature, as far as I'm concerned, is the title. International viewers may be interested to know that Ghoulies, G-O-O-L-Es, is a British slang term for testicles, and with Rare being a British studio, this was 100% intentional. Now, normally I've got a lot of time for the concept of stealth naughty joke for the mums and dads. I'm sure Rare enjoyed some hearty giggles as they slipped this one through under the nose of international publishers, but my problem is that the humour value of stealth dick jokes hinges on subtlety. The subtitles of the Ratchet & Clank games always had a lot of fun with this kind of thing, and their last one, Rift Apart, punning on ripped a fart, was so subtle I didn't even notice it till about 5 minutes before my review went out. But Grabbed by the Ghoulies isn't a case of a subtle joke you only notice after thinking about it, like a time-release raunchy comedy pill. If you don't know that Ghoulies is slang in another country, then you don't notice a joke at all. It's just a faintly lame title referencing that someone or something has been rudely snatched away by the unquiet spirits of the dead. On the other hand, if like me you are from a culture where ghoulies to mean bollocks is in relatively common parlance, then Grabbed by the Ghoulies has no subtlety whatsoever. There's no wit. It's just crass. You might as well have called it A Ghost Punched Me in the Fucking Dick. Not a pun in the title, but a pun buried in the game's environmental storytelling. The GTA series is very fond of using puerile double entendres as the names of business entities and the like, hence the chicken restaurant called Clucking Bell, to rhyme with fucking hell, you see. A joke which incidentally was nicked from the last episode of Blackadder Goes Forth, but I digress. The one that I'm complaining about here is what they called the Internet Cafe in GTA 4. It's simply called twat, with an at symbol. And again, that's just crass. It's barely a single entendre. It's just a swear word with a reference to internet terminology. And it only works if you see it written down. My first exposure to it was when I was directed to go there as part of a mission. Please go to twat, said the quest giver. I beg your fucking pardon, I replied. Then I saw the business name and said, oh, I see, No, actually, that's not very clever at all. See, the second order comedy value in a double entendre business name is that you can imagine a scenario where a clueless business person might register the name without realizing it has a second meaning. And that's not something I can envision here. In this case, we can only imagine someone walked into the registry office and said, hello, I want to start a business called Twat, like they were dared to by a giggly schoolboy. And incidentally, Americans, who is it who went around telling you all to say twat instead of twat? Was it George Carlin? I bet it was. Fuck you, George Carlin. Oh, now you care about getting the vowels right. Back in the 80s and 90s, Queen Bitch of the PC adventure game genre was of course Roberta Williams of Sierra Online, creator of the prolonged storybook fantasy-themed King's Quest series, which were at once insufferably twee and psychotically murderous towards players. And it seems old Bertie had a fondness for putting punny subtitles on her games, which presumably no one had the balls to say no to, what with her being Queen Bitch and all. I assume that's also how Phantasmagoria 1 happened. King's Quest 3, for example, was subtitled To Err is Human, a pun on the phrase To err is human. Yards, you just said the exact same sentence twice. Yes, again, this is a pun that only works if you see it written down. Err as in H-E-I-R, you see. A word Roberta must have been particularly fond of because she used it again for the only marginally better King's Quest VI, Air Today, Gone Tomorrow. But the King's Quest subtitle I really wanted to call out was King's Quest V, Absence Makes the Heart Go Yonder, which, as wordplay goes, could be a lot worse, but the inherent lameness of the pun is intensified by how awkwardly long the subtitle is. You have to get 5 words deep before you even get to the pun. It's like a drum roll that ends with the drummer loudly shitting themselves. In the latter half of the 2010s, the publisher THQ engaged in a brief internal competition between some of its Xbox 360-era action-adventure franchises to come up with the cringiest puns imaginable for their remastered editions. 2018, for example, saw the release of the Red Faction Guerrilla Re-Mars-Turd edition. The game's set on Mars, so the pun checks out, but to my mind, if you have to write down a punny name with dashes either side of the punny bit, then it's going to come across a bit tortured. And then there was the Darksiders franchise. Darksiders 2 brought us the Darksiders 2 Definitive Edition, after the main character, Death. I always have to concentrate very hard while pronouncing that, it's a bit of a consonant obstacle course, but as far as the wordplay goes, I almost respect it, in stark contrast to what they came up with for Darksiders 1. Are you ready for this? They called it the Darksiders War Mastered Edition, and fuck you if you're expecting me to explain why that sucks. In what depraved, incorrectly formed universe does the syllable re sound anything like the syllable war, with its completely different vowel and completely different consonant? Would it have taken so long to go to thesaurus.com and find a different word that means new and improved into which the word war would fit more smoothly? Look, I'll do it right now. Here we go. How about Darksiders Wargmented Edition? No, that sucks. Sounds like it's referencing wolf monsters. Warpotheosis Edition? You know what? Fine, it's a difficult syllable to work with, but we're dancing around the real issue here, to wit, I don't understand why it was so important to shoehorn a pun into the title in the first place. I think what we've learned from this video is that puns have their place, and that they should be contained to those places, forcibly if necessary. Those places include dad jokes, greetings cards, the fake tombstones out front of the Haunted Mansion ride at Disneyland, and JK Leeds videos.